All right, welcome back. So we've decided to not do the Skype. We're just going to stick to doing a hybrid with Dawie Roodt, who is on the line now. We saw the rand and bond markets react favourably to the official announcement that the ANC has retained its power as the leading party. President Cyril Ramaphosa has that daunting task of selecting a new cabinet and also reducing its size. Dawie Roodt, we've got you on the line, Chief Economist at Efficient Group. Good to have you, and thanks so much for being with us here. And I hope we can hear you now.
Good morning to you. Thank you.
Much better. All right, Dawie, talk to us about, markets reacting favourably. Did they react favourably, or are there other things at play after our elections?
Good morning. Yes. Well, of course, internationally, there are all sort of things happening that are affecting, especially emerging currencies, like, for example, the rand, like, for example, the trade war between China and America. But certainly, without a doubt, the local markets reacted positively to the elections. And I think the main reason for that is simply because not much really changed. It is still the same political party and I guess policies will broadly still be the same, and that's exactly what financial markets want. They want stability, they want clarity, they want certainty, and that's what we got. We've got the ANC that's with a reduced majority, but still the majority party, the same president, and that is, I guess, the best possible outcome that we could have wished for from a financial market point of view.
Yeah. But if you look at some of the issues that have been affecting the ANC in the lead up to this, we've seen what our state-owned entities look like. We have seen all of these commissions of inquiry that are taking place, and we've seen the corruption that, the ruling party has been riddled with. And we're seeing very much so the same old guard that are still going to be in power. We had the Premier's candidates announced the list yesterday. If you look at the list of the ANC, a lot of those old faces are still there. What has changed?
Yeah, well, the financial markets, I think the political narrative out there is that we have to get the elections behind us. Once we've got the elections behind us, we will be able to know whether the president can actually consolidate his political power. I think in simple terms, will the good guys actually be in charge of government? And that's the next question. And that is what the financial markets are waiting for. Who is going to be in cabinet? And will that reflect a stronger hand for the president? And will that also reflect a better political leadership in the ANC? And I think that is what the financial markets are waiting for at the moment. So I think the next thing is waiting for the announcement on cabinet. And once we have the cabinet, that will give us an indication of political direction. And once we have that, we will get some plans, hopefully, in terms of changes to policies and plans and implementation of those plans. Because you are absolutely right. The South African economy, things like, for example, the state-owned enterprises, the fiscus itself is in really, really deep trouble. And I think it's important for all of us, and perhaps for the president also, to tell us how deep in trouble we are economically, and that the next couple of weeks and months and even years are going to be extremely difficult to get the South African economy out of this hole.
We've even, in our news, and we're talking to state-owned entities now, big business have said that it expects the president to put together a cabinet that is equipped with the ability to implement business-friendly policies. And that, I think, is at the heart of all of this, is, the biggest and most urgent to-do list for our president is how he's going to turn this economy around. And that, I think, is one of the biggest issues that needs to be looked at, and the composition of this new cabinet. Talk to us about that. How important is it that the president puts the right people in the right positions?
Yeah, we can look at it differently as well. And that is that before the elections, things like, for example, nationalization of the Reserve Bank and expropriation and prescribed assets and all those populist things were pretty much on the political agenda. I think that is going to change. Of course, those things will still be there, but far more importantly is simply to keep the lights on. There are things like, for example, Eskom that needs to be fixed. And I think also that we all have to realize that in order to fix this economy, that we have to go through a lot of pain. And it is going to be very painful. Let's just use Eskom as an example. We probably will have to get rid of many thousands of people that are being paid by Eskom. Not only Eskom, the state debt levels are at totally unsustainable levels. The quality of South Africa's education is of the worst in the world. The health services are horrible. The local authorities, 2/3 of them are totally dysfunctional. Those are the kind of things that are really, really important to business people. If you want to start a business, you want to be able to get electricity and to get water and to get a license and to get registration and all that sort of stuff. And that must be the first priority of the president.
Yeah.
And in order to, the state debt levels currently is standing close to 60% of GDP. If we want to reduce that, it's going to take a lot of pain, and I think perhaps what the president needs to do is take us into his confidence and tell us that the next couple of years are going to be extremely difficult and tough, but that's the only way we can save this economy. Because the damage done to the South African economy past 10 years simply cannot be measured. It runs probably in the trillions of rands, and it is going to take us a long time in order to get out of this. But we cannot go on the same way we have been last 10 years or so.
Yeah, we certainly can't. And I mean, if we look at, I think one of the biggest indicators is the fact that our economy is not growing. We are not creating jobs. We've got unemployment figures or employment figures coming out today. Perhaps you can talk to those as well. And South Africa, infamous for being one of the most unequal societies in the world. And this is perhaps the number one challenge that is facing the president.
Yeah, the current growth trajectory in the economy seems to be stuck at around about 1%. Now, that is just not good enough. The population is growing at a far faster rate than the economy. That means that unemployment will keep on going up, poverty will keep on going up, and I'm afraid we will also see an increase in social tension and political tension, and that this is an environment that is just not good for any society. So our first priority must get the economy to grow. Unfortunately, there are no easy decisions. There are no easy choices for the president. And that's why I say it's important for the president to take us in his confidence and tell us that it's going to be very tough to get out of this. And I'm afraid also in the process, the president will be forced to burn some political bridges as well. And that is exactly what the financial market, what business people, what investors are actually waiting for. Do we have a president now? He has a mandate. Will he be, I dare to say, use the word, will he be ruthless enough to take very unpopular decisions and actually burn some political bridges as well? He's got the political capital now. Do that because we have a very, very small window of opportunity to implement these sort of changes. We simply cannot wait years again before we take those difficult decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've been quoted as saying that the president must consolidate his power and he must take these tough decisions, things that you've been saying right now. Already we're seeing talk between Ace Magashule and the president. Well, not that the president has said anything, but Ace is saying, no, there's no problem with the relationship between the two of us and it's all fine. But we all know that the unity within the party has been one of the biggest discussion points. And surely this must also hamper people and investment and people looking in and saying, how do we invest in a party that is not necessarily all on the same page?
There's another very good example. If you listen to the Minister of Finance delivering his budget speech earlier this year, and the things he said, and he was eventually knocked over the knuckles by his... In fact, he was knocked over the knuckles by the president himself and some of the other political leaders within the ANC. So I think there are two major conflicts at the moment. The first one is an ideological conflict within the leadership in the ANC. The ANC must make up their minds what they really stand for, what they ideologically, in what direction they do want to take the South African economy and South Africa, generally speaking. And the second conflict is the conflict within the alliance. And I'm referring specifically to organized labor within the alliance, because that has become the tail that is wagging the dog. We saw what happened at Eskom and how electricity provision was disrupted when there were negotiations about wage increases and the like. And we've seen many similar sort of examples where labor in South Africa is purely put disrupting the South African economy because they are so well organized. And we need that conflict needs to happen as well. So those are the two conflicts that the president will need to deal with, and he must deal with those sort of conflicts as soon as possible because we just don't have time. And hopefully the president will be in a position to consolidate his power and to force through these difficult decisions that I've been referring to.
All right, just a final question, Dawie. I'm going to throw two questions in one. If you could try and deal with this one quite quickly. The cabinet size has been under discussion for a long time, and that needs to be cut down for more than one reason, but the biggest one given is because of costs. And then finally, add to that, is Tito Mboweni the right man for the job? Is he the guy that should be the finance minister? Should he remain on?
Well, without a doubt, I think Tito Mboweni is the best the ANC can offer. The size of the cabinet, that's important, of course. It's a message that we are sending, but that's not where the real big money is going to. The big money is being wasted in inferior education because that's the largest expense item, health services that are just not done properly and all that. So I think that is where we really need to start. Of course, it's a good starting point, reduce the number of ministers that we have, but the big money is being lost at many other places. That is part of the state.
All right, Dawie Roodt, Efficient Group, thank you so much for talking to us about your expectations for the president going forward and trying to best handle the South African economy. Great to have you on the show. All right, 7 o'clock, let's get our news from Sakina.